Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Rabbit Roo here with the Starcraft Broodwar ladder replay for you. We're on Knockout 1.1 and we have a Protoss versus Terran for you today. It is Snow, who is spawning here in blue in the bottom right. And he is playing against the #1 ranked Terran player on the ladder. It is Royal. So yeah, I think it is going to be a pretty fun time of things. I am really looking forward to this game. Royal against Snow there've been a few pretty decent games that have come through. Royal versus Snow and Royal versus Rush. So the two are Terrans, having a lot of fun playing against Snow. Unfortunately, Snow has stopped troll laddering. So he is on a barcode ID today actually, but his old Smurf name Huang Su Kujiri or whatever, if you look up on my channel, there's a popular game where he goes scouts. It's got about 7,000 views. He's played that game on the Snow on the troll alias, but he has not used the troll alias for quite some time. He's just playing on his regular by Snow.1 alias, and he is playing on this barcode, so not laddering nearly as much as he used to, but every now and again we're able to find a gem of his. I think we've got a Snow versus Flash game that you would have probably seen come out on the channel already by the time you're watching this, and we're just trying to get a pretty decent coverage of all of the favorites that people love to follow, but we are unfortunately quite limited to the ladder. I don't have the kind of access to KCM and ASL and Pro League and stuff like that that some of the other guys do, and you know what, to be frank, I don't need it. I'm just doing this for fun, so I'm using seawall.gg to get my replays, and the fact that they've created that and given us access to ladder replays is absolutely fantastic, because it means that recreational casters like me have actually got games to cast, and I really do enjoy, and I'm very grateful that this is a reality. So Snow doing what is a 19 Nexus, and to do the 19 Nexus you make a Nexus before your first Dragoon. He is doing a 19 Nexus into range. A 19 Nexus into Dragoon into range. And it is a very good build. It's a slight optimization. So in other words, you're going more aggressive than 21 or 23 Nexus. You are not doing it on range. You're not doing it on 23. And Royal has just done a Vulture expand, and Snow having the audacity to pressure, even though he himself has gone for a somewhat aggressive opening himself, which is very typical of our friend Snow. Going Robo after range. Occasionally you see him skip range and just rush Reaver. Doesn't look like he's going to be doing that today. So Knockout 1.1 should lend itself to how many shots does this damn Marine need to take. He does kill all of them and somehow still keep his Dragoon alive, but he definitely let that run a bit close. This is one more shot on this Vulture before he can get any damage. Does get a probe, so a little sloppy, but not too bad. I do have a game on the channel of Snow's where he makes heaps of errors. It got absolutely no views. So I guess you'll just have to take my word for it. But it was one of the worst PVTs I ever watched him play. And obviously people knew that because they didn't even bother to watch. I find it funny. I think to take this seriously, if you're me, somebody who has got, you know, his own business or businesses plural, and you know, is sort of doing okay IRL. Yeah, that's right. Doing okay IRL. I'm not going to get worried about view counts and that sort of stuff. Like, I did do that, I'm not gonna lie, when I first started doing this, and I started taking it way too seriously, which is one of the reasons why I took such big breaks for so long and pursued other things. But now I kind of just found a level of comfort with doing this for fun and not stressing out. So again, aggressive economic style from Snow, what he's become quite well known for, just getting away with murder and then using his Reaver micro to get him out of trouble, right? I mean, he can slow down pushes, he can slow down expansions. He's infamous for his Reaver micro, and so it is always fun to watch him go Reaver. So he's got his first observer flying in. Where's that support bag? There it... No, not there. So he's still delaying his support bay for the time being. Just going 3-gate observer into a third base. We will be keeping an eye out there for that support bay because of how well known he is for that Reaver play. So we're going 1 armory. Since my return to casting, I have noticed a big trend into this timing attack, almost like a equivalent to Gateway Man that Terran has started to do, Factory Man, for lack of a more creative term, where we are not worrying about upgrades. We are worrying about producing a lot of units and putting pressure on Protoss, who has been sluggish with their units or just been too greedy with their expansions. And it's definitely added a new and interesting dynamic to the game. Lots more interesting fights, and I think it's made casting and watching PVTs more fun. And I think it's also made playing PVT probably a little bit more fun as well. So I really do like how this has evolved. I don't know who we need to attribute the credit to for changing the metagame on the Terran side, so the Protosses have had to adapt, but whoever it was, it's been fun. So we have a shuttle. We are getting faster shuttle movement, which means our support bay is here. And our Reaver is not yet. There it is. So our first Reaver is in production. And so we have a little bit of Reaver micro and a little bit of battles and shenanigans to look forward to. No cannons yet, just walling in. Obviously trying to be as economically efficient as possible is Snow. Already looking to get a sub 9-minute 4th base. It does have the observer in, so can see that Royal, I'm going to keep calling Royal Rush by accident. Royal is getting his factories up and running here. He's got the 5. And command centers now being made as well. So this is the style that we're seeing. So we're seeing Terran do a sub 9-minute 3rd off of 5 factories. So they've got the economic, they've got the macro power to produce units if they need to fend off any pushes or pressure from Protoss. They haven't rushed their upgrades, which means they can afford to kind of do this. And it's definitely providing a different balance and dynamic to the matchup. So Snow, sensing that a 3rd may be on the way, is already positioning his units, with his main agenda just being to slow down this expansion as much as he can, whilst getting up a 4th base of his own. So it is very often the case in StarCraft where, while it doesn't appear to be a lot happening, there is a lot of thinking and strategy and proactive planning and all that stuff that is being done by both players. Oof. Took a shot on that Reaver, but didn't die. He's just gonna retreat. Isn't even going to try. There's a lot of Royal here. He's already got plenty of tanks. So does do a little drop here into the main. Actually does a elevator here where he's dropping in multiple units. And a lot of Royals units are pretty far forward trying to reinforce his 3rd. So Snow's going to get a bit of damage here. Picks off a tank. Gets a couple of depots. The shuttle's going to go down because of the Goliath. The Reaver also goes down. And considering 119 or 123 plays 105, Snow, because he was microing this, has floated a little bit of money. Questionable whether he gained much at all there. We'll probably lay a few mines here, considering this distance between this is very, very short. Don't know if Snow's going to try that again. 71 probes, so really got very little by way of army value. Is taking a 5th. Questionable now if our Protoss Snow has been a little bit too greedy here. And if he has, whether Royal will have the sense, just the game sense, to try and punish. Sending out a few vultures, laying some mines. It's going to be painful to tidy this up. Double upgrades coming in from our Protoss. Going to be painful to send Dragoons up the map here to defend this, while Royal also is going to push. I don't think he's pushing. He's very, very close to this base, but I think he's potentially setting up to take a 4th of his own. I don't see an observer with this. So the question is, will he engage? Okay, so the Dragoons do tidy this up. Those mines are going to be sitting there, giving Royal full visibility on what's happening in this expansion. There's also a mine here as well to see when he tries to expand there. Vulture's just going around the rest of the map to check for any hidden bases or anything else that's happening. Royal does decide to pull back to entrench his new 3rd with plenty of tanks. And question now will be whether he tries to expand. The mines, the visibility the mines are giving here is really strong. He's making a few cannons. He still doesn't have an observer with this. So one goon does absorb the vast majority of the spider mine shots. Bring in some vultures. Sorry. Bring in some reavers to tidy up the vultures. Oh man. This is again so sloppy. Just losing so many goons to mines. Just one observer could save him from wasting all these units. I mean, Snow's one of the best players of this game in the world, but when I'm casting his games on the ladder in particular, especially his PVTs, his wastage against mines is quite a lot higher than when I compare it to other Protoss players. So if he does have a small weakness in his game, I would have to say that that would be it. I've missed a little droppy drop here. And he doesn't have any units. He's not really reacting very quickly to this either. He had 70 odd probes at a point, so he lost about 6 or 7 there. Another drop here. This time we won't miss it. And he's managed to wall all these units in, so this really isn't ideal. Also laying mines and distracting him over here, so he has not responded very quickly. Lost about 7 or 8 probes here, and he's probably going to drop a reaver to tidy this up. And so immediately Royal picks up the vultures and off he goes. I think harassment play from Royal here has been absolutely excellent. Really, 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 really good. So Snow, while he has the bases, and he's getting his gateway count up. Oh, I love this base layout. It's absolutely gorgeous. And clearing a few mines. Also going to get a few cannons here to reduce the efficacy of these vulture drops. We're now probably getting into the engagement phase of the game. And Royal is establishing a 4th. I think he's going to get a tank there. No. Those reavers shot different targets. That was bizarre. Somehow that tank survives. With like 4 hit points. Yeah, exactly 4 hit points. 4th base is established. And if you're a Terran fan, you're in a pretty good position here. Because you're going to be able to pressure this base. And I don't really know what Protoss can do about it. This is so many tanks. Does throw down a few storms, bit of splash damage. He does have a drop ship in motion here as well, and is going to drop. But The cannon placement from Snow there is relatively good, except this back area here where he's picking himself up some probes as well. The probes are going to have to fight for their lives. Okay, so that was again really decent harassment from Royal. So back to the main fight. Zealots diving in here. Most of them are going to be lost to mines. He doesn't have a lot of vultures tanking for the tanks anymore. I think a few of them were sieged. Stormed, excuse me. But some reinforcing vultures to arrive here, and I don't think that Snow is going to be able to save this Nexus. I think he's going to abandon it pretty smartly. The fact that these two players are spawned so closely together, definitely going to call for some tricky and somewhat tight fights for bases. He's coming around here with a pot of goons, potentially for some counterattacks, difficult to tell. Is expanding behind this, as the cheeky Snow would tend to do. Big surround here by vultures and mines. Oh no, these goons are just going to explode. How did those goons get away? Oh, that is crazy. Just chaos in this game now at the moment. Absolute chaos. So that base is gone. We've got a huge pot of units of Royals here in the middle of the map. And now we want to try and pressure some more of our Protoss bases. So somewhat decent storm there. Perhaps a bit of a whiff. Snow's down to 149 supply here. Royals accumulating a lot of money. Both slipping a little bit on their macro. Obviously microing these fights quite intensively. Another decent storm and a few vultures. Bit of a whiff there. Royal really getting into a position to actually be able to pressure the natural of Snows, where I dare say all of his production is concentrated. He does have 3 gateways here, but when we're talking about production, it's pretty much all concentrated here. And when Terran siege is up on your doorstep, that's when the clock starts to tick. I realized in my intro I said the #1 ranked Terran, but that's not Royal, it's Rush. Rush is the #1 ranked Terran on the ladder at the moment. Royal's pretty high up there, but I unfortunately do, for whatever reason, confuse Royal and Rush from time to time. My apologies for that, I have a bit of a dim brain. So Snow is trying to bludgeon his way out of here, and considering just heaps and heaps of reinforcing tanks are on the way, it's proving challenging. It's getting a bit more penetration than what I thought he would, but unfortunately here the reinforcements do show up. Sending down some Dragoons from the high end. He's now got still just 3 gateways here. Probably all of them are producing. Reinforcing zealots are coming down. We'll trip these mines. Hopefully... Oh, there we go. We'll get a few tanks for that. With decent drag, mine drag. Drag mine, I nearly said. Not a word, not a thing. Does get a couple of storms off. It is a scrap. No doubt about it. This game is a scrap. Got some idle probes here. And Royal is trying to establish another cheeky base up here, but Snow does scout this and we'll be able to shut it down. I mean, all these bases up here are pretty safe and snug, but he's not got the firepower to knock out the natural. I don't think he needs to. Like, the main is not as valuable of a target. I think any units that are coming out of the main are going to be intercepted by those tanks. So pressuring his other newer sources of income is the option that Royal is going for, and I think altogether a fair call. Especially if he can shut down the source of reinforcements that's here in the top right. So does quickly chew through the cannons in this expansion here. Just seas and seas of red just flowing up the map. So this next is going to go. He's only got 3 tanks here, so I think did accumulate a bit of a critical mass to be able to break out here, and we'll break out pretty easily. Didn't even really need to storm there. I don't think Snow knew how little Royal kept here, but has now got an entrenched army up in this position, and strategically these bases are way more significant to Snow than any others. So him sacking the main is no dramas. Or moving away from breaking out of his main is no dramas, because this area is far more valuable. A couple more storm drops and other interventions here from Snow to try and slow this down, but to actually break out or to counter-attack anywhere meaningful, it's very difficult. So Royal floating in another new base here. And this is turning out to be a very convincing game from Royal. Not going to break out of here very easily, even with the drop. So re-establishing this base, even though he's mined a fair bit of it out. His mine placement has also been very good. I thought this Lagoon was here to scout, but he has discovered that there is another base of operation for our Terran. Didn't even go with a double shuttle style. Kind of played a stuck in the middle, just mass bases gateway man kind of play. Did Snow, but this build from Terrans, where they're just getting a lot of units and expanding off of 5 factories, taking a relatively fast fourth, it's showing itself to be increasingly difficult to stop. Okay, so we're going to probably tee up for a little bit of a counter-attack here. So Royal responding in kind with a counter-attack of his own. That Nexus really did fall pretty fast, didn't it? I do like how he leaves the trailing tanks just to slow down reinforcements. I think that's a really nice feature of Royal's play. That base has been denied by Snow. But he lost a very critical source of income in exchange for that base. And now having Terran right up here with all of his reinforcing gateways and his only real other mining base that's got some decent mineral patches left is a big problem. Does have a bit more supply though for the time being. Royal though has got this, sorry. He's got this still mining, he's got this. He's starting to run out of money here. Just realized Snow knocking down this base, actually very significant. It's his last real mining base. Royal still got this, and he's floating in a command center here. So if he can establish this again, then I think he wins. And I don't really see Snow being able to re-establish this base. I don't see where his units, this is his remaining army. I don't see what he has left killing what Royal has left. Royal's actually still got plenty over here as well to defend his remaining income. And of course his income is important, but this isn't his only remaining attempt. That was a decent storm drop. This isn't his only remaining attempt at income. 5 or 6 Dragoons here, a couple of Reavers. This is now gone. A lot of those probes have been killed as well. And he's managed to hold on to this. And most importantly, if he can saturate this and get some defense, that is it. So Snow taps out. Very close. Much closer than I thought there. I thought Royal was actually giving Snow an absolute hiding. But it really did just come down to losing both of these two bases and Royal being able to establish this because he just had enough left over. But this factory man style where they're expanding to about 8 minutes on 5 factories and then a sort of 10-minute or 11-minute fourth base as Terran, it's really proving challenging for the best Protosses in the world to stop. So a very convincing win for Royal today. If you stuck with me this far, thank you so much for watching. I really did enjoy bringing you this game. I'll be back very soon. Until next time, take it easy.